Hello. Z104.5. That's where it's at. That's my favorite. So, I have tried to make this video 3 times now. Let's hope that this doesn't do what it did the last few times, which is turn off on me. I haven't figured out this new camera, so I don't know why it's turning off. I am trying to control it from my phone. So we'll see how it goes. I realized that I have not introduced myself in any form other than, the About Me sections of a page or a blurb about something, nothing. See if I can get it straight. I haven't done anything official, so I wanted to come on and officially kind of introduce myself, especially if I want to build an audience. I want you guys to have that understanding of who I am, where I came from, and this is a Gary Vee challenge to document, not create. So all of my videos are going to be that. I think he's very on point with it's important to document because there's a lot of people. And I'm learning this as an instructor and a influencer in my community that don't know what to do, and everybody acts like it's a secret, and it's not. It's not hard, but everybody's just uncertain. And so, a brief overview. I'm from North Carolina. Well, first off, my name is Kelly Gilliam, and I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Grew up there. And born and raised, went to high school, graduated. I got accepted to East Carolina University School of Music. I found out I was pregnant with my first son and went to the community college for a year. I did play trumpet from 6th grade till I graduated, but I couldn't afford to not be near home with a child, not be able to work full time. I was going to have to practice every single day to be a professional trumpet player. So my parents couldn't afford to pay for my college. I was one of 5 kids, and it just wasn't something that worked out. So I was lucky that my dad had took me to some welding classes during my high school career to just get my hands dirty. Hey, try it, come sleep, I don't care, but just get up on Saturday and come with me. So when I did choose to go in the military to try and pay for the rest of my schooling, the only job that sounded interesting was steelworker. Everything else sounded really boring. So when I found out about steelworker, I went into the reserves and met my ex-husband there. I went through boot camp as an E1. I got promoted to E2. I went to A school, graduated top of the welding A school. I went from E2 to E4 as soon as I graduated, so I was never an E3. And I ended up in a very vulnerable place. I didn't know my husband very well. Wasn't in a state anymore that I knew. So I moved from North Carolina once I left the A school. Me and my husband moved to Virginia. And I was in a situation I've never really been in, and experienced. It wasn't something I grew up around. So I spent 2 years questioning whether I should stay married, break wedding vows, or just take my life. I did have my older son, and then me and my husband at the time had another child, and now I was a mother of 2, but I wasn't allowed to work. I had to stay at home. I was a reservist, so I only got out 1 week in a month, and there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened in that situation, to the point that after 2 years of that, I fled, and me and my boys became homeless. So we stayed in a domestic violence shelter for about 2 months. But when I got there, we started doing resumes with my welding experience on it. Luckily, I was in Virginia, and the Newport News shipbuilding was hiring welders, so they were the first to call back. So of course we responded. So I went in the shelter that November of that year. I got my apartment the day, it was like 2 or 3 days after Christmas that year, because I did Christmas at my mom's house. And I started, my first day was January of that next year. So there was a lot of awesome things that came from that. I didn't learn till later on, closer to the age I am now, that being that situation did kind of prepare me. I will say my ex-husband is phenomenal. He has changed, done a whole 360. I think he grew up in a rough situation, so I think he just realized, like, I really want a marriage to work. So there's something you have to do in order for that to happen. Him and his wife are great. We co-parent very well, and they just had their second son. So now he has 3 boys. So I went to the shipyard as a welder. I met my husband, who I'm currently married to now, there. I did not like him at first at all, actually. It weirded me out how nice he was, and so I just couldn't get past that. It took me a while, and then I was like, snap out of it. It's uncomfortable, but that's probably a good thing, because it's something you're not used to. And so I stepped out of that eventually, and me and him are inseparable. We have 3 daughters, so we have 5 kids altogether. My oldest is 13, my son Aaron is 11, and then my girls are 8, 5, and 3. So we have a full house, but I learn a lot from them too. And the job that I was at as a welder in Newport News Shipbuilding, I just recently left there after 10 years, where I got to do several things. We build nuclear aircraft carriers and submarines there, and I got to become a foreman, a pipe foreman. I was pipe welding foreman. I've welded numerous X-ray pipe welds. That sounds weird. I've welded numerous joints that were X-rayed, so they were pipe joints that had to be made sure it was solid metal. Never failed one, but I became a pipe foreman. Then I had an opportunity to become a craft instructor for their apprentice school, which is the program I went through. And I took it, and I was their first female craft instructor ever in the history of that yard and the apprentice school. So very, very cool. But that season was starting to end, and it was time for me to do some things that I was really excited about in the community, because I had started 2 years ago competing for the Mrs. Virginia America title. And so I found a position I applied for, and once I interviewed for it, I knew I was going to take it. Because of just some silly, like some really cool stuff that happened. But so that position, I'm the fast track weld coordinator and instructor for a local community college in the area. So I'm getting to still teach welding. I'm getting to weld, which is awesome. But I'm getting to be in the community, which I really started to enjoy. If I had to do that when I first went to the shipyard, I would have sucked. I would have failed miserably. I was too quiet. I will say, I have always been this person. I've just never been this vocal. So I've always thought the things I say. I've always felt the things, but I've just never vocalized it. And working for a large company and getting to do the trainings I did and the leadership things that I did, I got to publicly speak all the time, because once you have a crew, you speak to a whole group every day. So getting to go through that and fumble through it often made me much better at it. And I trained a lot for the last pageant that I competed for with Miss Virginia, and that was my first one, and I got 4th runner-up. So I go back in April. I want to create a video so you guys could see when I first started practicing my walk, how horrible I looked, and to what I ended up doing on stage. But we'll get there. I just wanted to come on and give you guys a overview of who I am, and thank God now it's actually recorded, because this is the 3rd time I've tried to get through this. So I'm about to go in a meeting, and I wanted to make sure I did this before the day was over. I hadn't posted anything all weekend, but I wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate all you guys watching, and as always, take it easy.